While most of the Democrats largely seem kind of asleep at the wheel, only waking up to chastise David Hogg for daring to ask representatives to stay awake during hearings, actually it's kind of nice to see them doing some form of civil disobedience, even if it is accidental. One of the few Democrats or independents who has been absolutely killing it is Bernie Sanders. The Fight Oligarchy tour with AOC was a resounding success, even in deep red counties, which goes to show the growing interest in democratic socialism. Since pausing the tour, Bernie hasn't been making himself sparse. He's on the podcast circuit, appearing on Andrew Schulz Podcast, Flagrant. It's a bit surprising that he would even appear on Andrew's podcast, but considering that he was on Theo Von's, and those guys are a pretty good stand-in for the politics of the most average American dude, unfortunately, this is a pretty good opportunity to break through.
Essentially, Democrats say, status quo is working okay, we're going to tinker around the edges, make a little bit of a change here. Trump says the whole goddamn system is broken, but he said, I will fix it. Well, his solutions will make it worse. But he at least acknowledged that the system is broken. Democrats often don't.
They don't acknowledge it. And there's a lot of finger wagging, or at least recently. I didn't feel that when I was growing up, but at least recently there's a lot of finger wagging. And then there's almost like this detachment from working class people, which is really sad because you'll see them echo certain sentiments. They'll be like, look at the Biden stock market. And it's like, guys, 50% of Americans aren't even invested in the fucking stock market. Like, you're so detached from working class people, you don't even know the talking points to make them feel good about the economy.
Right.
So how
do you even lie to them properly?
Yeah, like so what happened? How do we get here with the Democrat establishment?
It's a great question.
Well, and the answer is that we do know, and that is during the 70s, 60s, Democrats caught on that you could raise a lot of money from wealthy people, and it gets back to campaign financing and all that stuff. So you got a democratic establishment now, which is funded by wealthy people. You have consultants who are really way out of touch with reality, who make a whole lot of money in campaigns. And working class is ignored. Donald Trump comes along and says, I care about you, which was a lie. So
I don't know if that's a lie. I'd give pushback on that. I think that it has to be proven that it's a lie.
All right, I'll prove it.
Yes, thank you. And you're right, I could look through rose-colored glasses, but the idea, I think that when people are struggling, anybody who goes, hey, I'm going to help you out. Like I'm sure when I remember the impact of Obama.
Change.
He ran on reform and he ran on hope, right?
Yes.
He ran on this idea of we're going to make it better for you, instead of Kamala seemed to run on this idea like, hey, it's good, we're going to keep doing the exact same thing. Right. Which is a losing strategy.
You got it.
I hate to say that Andrew Schulz, the guy who says he likes Trump because he says whatever he wants, and,
You want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want.
Trump doesn't so much get it as he does buy it, but he also doesn't care about the American people. That's as clear as Pete Hegseth's favorite gin. But if even Andrew Schulz can identify that Kamala and Schumer's patented everything is fine actually strategy is a losing one, then it should be obvious to them too.
So that was her bloody consult. I mean, I know Kamala. She's a friend. She's very smart. That was what her bloody consultants told her to say. I begged them. I'm just between you.
Why can't she push back? Like at a certain,
you're right. Look, there's no argument.
And this is the problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to 2016. I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported him.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
Well,
Now, these are the questions that Bad Empanada wanted his son to ask during their brief little interview. And I think it's a good question because a lot of people have this sentiment towards Bernie, right? Like, when it came down to the wire, the Democrats stabbed you in the back. Why should we continue to support them? The people who told you that it was between Hillary Clinton and Trump were clearly wrong. It was between Bernie and Trump, and the DNC chose Trump.
But then could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear...
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point. And that's why I'm proudly an independent. What we're trying to do now, and I will just reinforce the point both of you made. The hatred that we felt in 2016, 2020 from the Democratic establishment. I'll give you an example. We would do rallies and we have thousands of people, often young people of color coming out, working class people coming out. They were great, full of energy. Yeah. And then we go to Democratic Party events. And there'd be a few hundred people, mostly older, whiter, wealthier. And you saw the clash. And the establishment did not want to open the door. They hated the idea that all these people whose hands were a little bit dirty, who didn't have PhDs or weren't wealthy, imagine walking in, it's my party, man, you ain't getting in.
Yes.
We will fight you in the most ruthless ways that we can. And that's the struggle. Are they going to open the door, or are they prepared to lose elections, literally, and maintain,
the status quo,
go down with the Titanic? So do you
think you're forcing the door open? Because it seems like that's what's happening right now.
Exactly what we are trying to do. Right now, in the last month, we have enlisted some, I think the latest 7,000 people who are prepared to run for office from school board to Congress.
Wow.
Not all of them will run, but they've shown interest. There are training programs that we're undertaking with other groups right now. And by the way, a good percentage of them don't want to run as Democrats, they want to run as independents. One of the successes that we've had that doesn't get a lot of attention is in the House of Representatives now, there are dozens and dozens of young, often people of color, often women, who are there. I mean, Alexandria is maybe the best known, but Pramila Jayapal from Washington State, Greg Kazar from Texas, Mark Buchan from Wisconsin. There are many of them, and they're doing a great job. And they don't take corporate PAC money, and they stand up for the working class.
Okay. And then Andrew Schulz does a steak ad, so that tells you the kind of person that he is.
If you want to get busy and get some skin in the game, you know where to do it.
But to Bernie's last point, there are tons of people out there doing it right now because it's time to build a coalition of like-minded democratic socialists in the U.S. who want to stay informed, get educated, and resist Trump's regime. If that's you, consider subscribing, dropping a like, and a comment. I'm Tony Hinderman with U.S. Democratic Socialists, and I'll see you next time.